Welcome, welcome. So I'll go ahead and get started with some introductions. My name is Christina Wombold. I am the Integrated Educational Technology Coordinator at ESD 112. I've been with ESD for about 10 years now. And in my role, I work with all things that have a computer, any kind of computer program from eval, data portals, Google, Microsoft, and all the things in between. And with me, I have my co-presenter, and I'll let her go ahead and share her introductions.
Hello, I'm Catherine Livick. I am the Instructional Technology Coordinator at ESD 112, and I am also the Computer Science Lead for our region. And so we've been working together we work together on a lot of things, but AI really grabs that intersection between computer science and ed tech. So we're having a lot of fun lately. Don't know about the rest of y'all.
Catherine's going to go ahead and put our resource link in the chat, but it's also on the Padlet, an entire folder of my presentation and everything in between, all the resources we're using. We have a limited time here today, so I'm going to start us off with some tools. So we're going to look at about 4 different tools that we can use to analyze school district data. And then we're going to dive into some of the policies. I have looked at both the federal government, the Federal Department of Education, the Federal Educational Office of Education, Oregon, and Washington's OSPI just released AI information. So we're going to analyze all of that towards the second half of our session. But first, we're going to look at some very cool tools. You're in the right place if you're here to talk about data. We are going to look at some tools. And the first tool, I'm going to let the Microsoft video share with you, but this is a tool you're already using. Most, if not all of you, have access to Excel. Download it onto your device or maybe through the cloud. Excel has added AI into their platform. And in this one, it's called Analyze the Data. It's going to allow us to take spreadsheets and ask those spreadsheets simple day-to-day human language questions, and it will give us pivot tables, charts, and graphs. So we're going to pause and let Microsoft tell us about their new product.
In Excel, use Analyze Data to quickly ask questions about your data and get high-level visual summaries, trends, and patterns without writing complicated formulas. Select a cell in your data range. In the Home tab, select Analyze Data. Based on your data, Excel will analyze and generate pivot tables and charts for you to choose from, like trends, sums of sales, and more. Choose one or more that meet your needs to insert them into the workbook. Or if you want to know something specific about your data, you can ask a question or use one of the suggestions. Want Excel to focus on specific fields to analyze? Select which fields interest you the most. Uncheck the fields you don't want analyzed, choose how you want values summarized, and select Update. Analyze Data also works great in Excel for the web, making sure you get the insights you need no matter where you work.
So that's just something in a product that we use every day. Excel spreadsheets every day, right inside there. That's not going out to the internet. It is just within your Excel spreadsheet. In Excel, this is the one place that I would feel comfortable putting my district's data, not public information, and having it analyzed because it's all within a system. It's not going out to the internet or out to a different platform to hold the data. So that is our Excel.
In Excel, use
It always does that. If you are a Google district, we can do the same thing inside of our Google spreadsheet. I thought I had that pulled up, but of course I moved it. So in here, I'm pulling up a Google spreadsheet. This is just the uploaded version of the OSPI report card data. This is all public data that I downloaded from the OSPI website. Inside Google's version of Excel, which is called Google Sheets, we use the button under the tools, or actually, where is it? Yeah, Explore. And when we hit Explore, just like in Excel, it will analyze the data. It will give us charts. It will give us pivot tables. It will give us additional information. I also can use my everyday language to ask it questions about things. It's exactly like Excel. It's called Explore. If you are a Chat GPT lover, because you've been using it and you're very comfortable with it, under extensions in your Google Sheets, you can add extensions. And in this case, I added the Chat GPT for doc, sheets, and slides. And now it's going to allow Chat GPT, the free version of Chat GPT, to work within my file. In that case, public data only. It's still going out to Chat GPT, which is a third-party group. We don't know what Chat GPT does with their data yet. Like, they've already told us they have some things. We have to read more about where they put their data. So in that case, if I'm using Chat GPT, I want it to be public, accessible data that I can download from wherever on the internet. We're going to talk more about the privacy, but that is the biggest thing as we talk about data and AI is, what are we giving these machines? And who's on the other end of those machines? So we need to be cautious as well as excited that it can help us do a lot of things. I'm not a pivot table guru. It's great that the computer can do that for me. I'm going to use that tool, but I need to be safe. And I need to scrub student identifiable information if I am looking at something that has student identifiable information. Remove names, put student ID numbers. Remove names and put ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you need to do so that you're not putting student information into the internet. So that's looking at Google. Another program that I'm really excited about, and it's the only AI program that has, to my knowledge right now, and that's a little bit of knowledge because there's a lot of AI happening overnight, that has signed the data privacy agreement that Google and Microsoft signed. Magic Schools has signed the document that says they will not data mine what you're putting in there. So in this example, you can just watch it play. I'm asking it to give me middle school SBAC data without uploading a file. So I'm just typing in my prompt. I'm in Magic School. This is the free version of Magic School, so it's not a paid version. Magic School is available for anybody with an educational email for free. And I'm asking it to get the middle school smarter balanced assessment data from 2023 for Battleground School District. And now it is creating a chart for me. I can then ask it questions. And if you see here at the little bottom corner, it has suggested questions for me to ask, or I can ask more questions of the data. Here's the live version. I can look at an exemplar. That's what I love in Magic School because they just have little samples of what it looks like. Sometimes it's really hard to think of what to ask the machine because we're still new at this. So if I look here at an exemplar, this is the top 5 fruits because this is for kids, but I could do this with my school data. And then it gives me questions to help analyze the data more. I have used this with a PLC of adults where I pulled in the data and then I had some of these prompting questions to lead the discussion of the group because sometimes it's hard to figure out what's next. So this is Magic School. Very useful, very free. Continue, come on. This one is the one that Catherine and I are really excited about. This one is called Julius, like Julius Caesar, Julius.ai. And Julius lets me upload that same spreadsheet. So that spreadsheet that I went out to OSPI's data portal and downloaded the whole report card, I uploaded that spreadsheet into Julius. And then I asked it to provide me which schools in which districts in the state of Washington are reporting more than one student that is designated as gender X. So which schools have gender X students in this data file that's ginormous? Well, it went ahead and pulled that out for me. I'm going to show you what it looked like in live because I've done this. Come on. So it went ahead and it gave me a visual, but it also gave me the code, the actual formula that I could take and go put back into that spreadsheet, and it would do that for me in the spreadsheet. So it doesn't only give me the answers, it gives me the formulas. Those Excel formulas that gurus have that not everybody else knows very well. I can do that. So it gave me the chart. Then it gave me a list. Then I said, I really need a visual of this. Can you create a graph or something that makes this more visually appealing so I understand it better? Sure. And it gave me a graph. I don't like that graph because it's really, really a lot of stuff. It's showing every school district in the state that has Gen X. So I didn't really like that. So instead, I started asking more questions. This is me and the AI talking about this massive spreadsheet. And it's giving me answers just like if I was talking to my friend or to a data analyst. So I said, okay, which district has the most students designated as gender X? Well, do you want me to include the state total in there? This spreadsheet has a total. Do you want that total to be part of this question? Well, no, because that would skew it. So it knows that. So then I said, okay, which district is it? Seattle Public Schools District has 2,228 students that are designated as gender X. Now I went ahead and asked it more information, but I hadn't uploaded the spreadsheet in an hour. So it only wants, it wants me to upload the spreadsheet again for it to keep asking more questions. Because it was like 4 days ago that I did this. So I could upload that spreadsheet again. It tells me how, because I wanted to know how many of those gender X students are also 2 races or more. So I can keep asking these deeper and deeper questions of the data as long as I'm in the same setting within the same hour or 2, like the whole time. Now, if I wanted to ask more data information today, I would just upload that file and continue asking it more questions in this system. Julius has a free program. I'm using the free program right now. Nothing I'm doing is paid in Julius right now. Now it says I'm only allowed to do 3 or 4 investigations in the free version, but I think I can delete the old ones and still have 3 or 4. So if I do find this to be something that I would use all the time, maybe my role as data analyst, I would probably pay for the full version. But if I'm only doing this occasionally, I could get away with using the free version and just getting rid of the old ones that I've done and do a new one, because you can download it. So I downloaded all my data into a document right here, and it showed me all of the spreadsheets, all of the data, all of the questioning and prompts. So I didn't lose that if I was to delete it. I'm just downloading it and saving it somewhere else on my computer instead of Julius. Yes.
Christina, Monique had a question in the chat that I wanted to address, and she was asking, ChatGPT, sometimes you get different answers in response to the same prompt. Have you tested this? And I was telling her it was kind of hard to compare across the platforms because they don't all allow you to upload data in the same way. I would think you would see less confabulation, like making stuff up, when you're asking it to analyze documents that you have specifically uploaded than if you just ask a question, because sometimes they'll go, oh yeah, sure, and just make stuff up. But I don't think we've been seeing as much with this. Have you done any comparison, like gone back to the spreadsheets, Christy?
I have gone back to the spreadsheets to make sure that the data is coming from the spreadsheet and not a random, answer. And yes, Julius isn't going to the internet. It is only looking at the documents you're uploading. In the free version of ChatGPT, I cannot upload a document. In Julius, I can. And in Julius, I can only upload one document at a time. So like upload one, ask it all the questions about that. The next one, I can upload multiple documents and have it compare those documents. That's going to be the cool thing to show you. Does that answer your question, Monique?
Yeah, thank you. I was mostly just interested in when you're inputting data, like Catherine said, sometimes ChatGPT will make up answers, but I wanted to make sure if we're uploading data, it's sticking for the most part from what you've seen with the data that you're inputting.
It's only looking at that document.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Love questions in here.
Yeah.
So before we get into policy, I was tasked with having to look at all these different policies that are out there. I went out and I was looking at the Federal Department of Education's policy on AI. They released information about a month ago. Then I went out and I looked at the Office of Ed Tech for the federal government. They had a policy. So I uploaded those policies. And actually here in my example, I uploaded OSPI's newly released, just got it yesterday kind of thing, and Oregon's AI stuff. Okay, Oregon has a policy. OSPI just released the policy. I wanted to know, how common are those? How similar are they? Are there any major differences? And I uploaded both documents and I said, compare these documents for themes and policies. It pulled out 6 themes. It pulled out equity and inclusion, student privacy and security, human-centered approach, academic integrity, updating policies, and professional development. So the Oregon and Washington are on the same page. We have the same themes, same policies. Nothing is dramatically different. Okay, now I want you to take the one from the Office of Ed Tech and tell me if that, how does that compare to those other 2 documents? So my question was, now compare both documents to the attached document looking for themes and policies. So it did it again, pulling out human-centered approach, equity and inclusion, teacher involvement, student privacy, trust and transparency. So now it kind of even more making sure that all 3 of these documents have those themes in them. Then I decided, well, I wanted to include the Department of Education and how they thought about it. So I copied and pasted their most recent article into that and asked the machine if that article confirms the comparisons that I've already done. Does this article support those themes you pulled out of those 3 other documents? Yes, it does. And here is why. And what came out of it? Come on, move. Is this. The Department of Education, the Office of Ed Tech, Oregon, and Washington nails down to these 5 themes when it comes to policy. And I was able to do this in less than 10 minutes, people. 10 minutes. I just needed to know what I was looking for and have access to the documents. So now I know human-centered approach, and that is mine and Catherine's #1 thing we will sing forever. The human needs to know what they're putting in there, and the human needs to know what's coming out and if that is accurate. I am not believing the AI without double checking. That's my job as a human. That's the same thing when I was researching information when I was in college. It's the same thing before when we went to the table, the library thing. It's all the same. I'm backing up what I've heard. Equity inclusion, absolutely. Teacher involvement. Why would we do something to teachers if they aren't part of the conversation? Duh.
Christina, we have about 9 minutes. Just wanted to give you the time.
Perfect. We have student privacy and security. That is something Catherine and I talk about every time we meet is this safe? Should I be putting my data in here? And the answer is if it's not publicly available data, don't put it in AI. If it's not publicly available on the internet for me to download somewhere, then it has student privacy information. So I'm going to not put that in there, or I'm going to scrub that data. I'm going to take out the names and replace it with ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, whatever I need to do to make sure that data does not have student identifiable information. And I want to repeat that also with adult. Don't take teachers' private information and put it in there either. Like, let's be clear. And then trust and transparency. We should not be submitting work or reports without telling people that I used AI. So in my world, typically what I'll say is byline by Christina Wombold with the assistance of ChatGPT, and here's the prompt I used. Or just with the assistance of ChatGPT, analyzing the data. I got to explain how I use the machine and what part is me. Like what part is the human and what part is the machine? And we are collaborating together. So that is something, trust and transparency is a big deal. We're hearing that with our iGrants. There may be a question that comes on your next iGrant that asks if you used AI. It's not against you using AI. It just wants to know if you used it. There is a question around that with some artwork and students. Like we have to be honest in our work and cite our sources. As professionals, I think we've always been citing our sources, but now we have to be reminded of really citing our sources when it comes to AI. We have looked at the Department of Education's recommendations. I really like that they emphasize the human loop and they emphasize security. The Department of Education has a full paper you can download. You can look at it yourselves. The Oregon Department. But this is the one that was the easiest and clearest policy I found. And this is WSU, just down the street for some of us, or over in Pullman for others. And this is for their professors and their students. Must avoid integrating, entering, or otherwise incorporating any non-public information into these AI systems. Because we shouldn't be taking all of our student data and just throwing it into a machine. I don't know who's on the other end. Where are they collecting this data? So I really liked that. And then to make sure that you're citing it. Students can use AI in their work. It's going to be great for research, but they need to cite that they used it. And I also liked the recommendations as we were going through this, that was your policies don't need to be thrown out. Your educational technology policies are not garbage. They are great. We just need to maybe add the word AI if some people need to see it in writing, or we need to remind people what that internet safety policy is. Catherine and I are going to go on a roadshow about doing internet safety again, because for whatever reason, people see AI as different than when we've opened up the internet for the first time. It's the same thing. We need to be safe what we put in there. If I asked you if you put your social security number in the internet, you'd tell me no, but then you would open up a portal and put it in there anyways. Like if they asked for it on a form, you're going to fill it out without asking questions. So we have to get back to that mindset of like, what should I put out there in the world of the internet, and what should I be safely feeling is confident of putting other people's information out there? Catherine, I'm done talking. Your turn. Or anybody else in the room. I'd love to hear your questions. What do you have to add, Catherine?
We got about 4 minutes left, so I just wanted to make sure you know we're okay for a few more minutes. Yeah, I think you nailed it. We're as we are thinking about how we're going to talk to districts and educators about this, grounding it in digital citizenship is where we've kind of landed, because it's time for a refresher. I think there are teachers and administrators and people everywhere in our industry that think that digital citizenship is a thing that you do one day and then you're done and you've checked the box, and that is not how it works. If you want your students to be, using their critical thinking, which we absolutely need them to do with this, you need your instructors to be going, okay, every time we use any kind of technology, it's an opportunity to do a refresher on digital citizenship, and AI is it's very important for that. We do have another question in the chat from Monique about best practices for AI citation. And I think that is emerging, but we do
It
have.
is emerging. This is my favorite one. I'm going to put in the chat. This is coming from a close friend and colleague of ours. His name is Joe Marquez. He is a member of CUE, which is the California big ed tech conference they have every year, and they work in there. He also works with several of our vendors that are providing these services. Here's what his current idea of citation looks like. This is emerging over time. I'm going to put it in the resources so that you all have it later. It's emerging over time. There's going to be a lot of discussion about what it really looks like. But the big idea right now is you got to cite it. You cite all your other resources. Why wouldn't you cite this one? It's just a kind of a mind shift that now I'm citing, AI, but I've always cited when I've gone out to OSPI and found resources or anything else. So it's just a reminder of those things. Hopefully that answers your question, Monique. Anybody else have questions or comments? Go ahead, Monique, you can answer.
No, I was just going to say thank you. That's perfect.
I'll add it in our notes there too. Any questions or anything you're doing in your districts that might help others? Maybe you're doing something cool with your data. I also know it's a lot to absorb in a very short period of time. They give it 30 minutes.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to give the shout out before people start wandering back to the main room. We do have a survey that's the link in the chat, and we would love for everybody to give us some feedback. And they will be gathering us back into that main room in a minute just for a really quick closure of the event. So we thank you, and let us know if there's any questions we can address.
And all of our resources are linked on the Padlet. So you have at our slide deck, you have all of the different policies that we've downloaded, as well as that screenshot I just made of the citation. All of that is in a Google folder that is linked to the Padlet. So, and I will upload things into that folder as I go. So maybe I learned something tomorrow. I'll throw that in there for you as well. So it'll be an ever evolving folder of resources. And there's our 29 seconds. Thank you all.